through the mirror. A distant calling, a hum inside the current's face. The silence roll ever nearer. It's in the cracks in the wall, ever watching you into the black of the fall. And when everything is upside down, when you're yelling but you make no sound, life is gonna spin you round. Whoa, and get a little bit stranger. When everything is upside down, a tremor in the underground. The nights are gonna take this town. Whoa, and get a little bit stranger, stranger. Push the kinetics, a troubled spirit breaking through. A bitter debt to repay now. But don't you dread it, a friend would never lie to you, helping you get through the pain now. And when everything is upside down, when you're yelling but you make no sound, life is gonna spin you round. Whoa, and get a little bit stranger. When everything is upside down, a tremor in the underground. The nights are gonna take this town. Whoa, and get a little bit stranger, stranger. Lost in the space set behind. Hold out a hand in your mind. Don't have to face it alone. And when everything is upside down, when you're yelling but you make no sound, life is gonna spin you round. Whoa, get a little bit stranger. When everything is upside down, a tremor in the underground. The nights are gonna take this town. Whoa, get a little bit stranger, stranger. Lost in the space set behind. Hold out a hand in your mind. Don't have to face it alone. Lost in the space set behind.
Microphone check. All right, let's try that again. Is it working now? Can you all hear me? All right. I was just complaining. OBS is changing my settings. I guess when these things update, they break stuff all the time. I'm kind of weary about hitting the update button on OBS these days. It either breaks my Stream Deck. I've got like fun sounds and GIFs and stuff I used to play, and I can't get those to work anymore. Seems like every time I have this setup working to where I like it, there's an update that breaks all of it, and I have to redo it all. I don't know how folks like Jeff Fritz keep up with it. I really don't. So, let's look at some stuff that does work. Let's look at our Blazor app. Last week we were building some user preference features. There is a repo out if you want to take a look at what we're building. This might be a little bit behind what I have on my computer today. I haven't submitted some of the changes from last week yet because we were still working on some of the theme settings, I think. Yeah, updated once a year like .NET. I'm seriously irritated with the Streamlabs stuff, or OBS in general. I never have good luck with it. We've completely switched off of OBS for the Code It Live channel, and we use Stream Deck or StreamYard now, just because all the quirks in OBS are just too much to try to deal with anymore. So this is the Blazing Coffee app we've been working on. We have the ability to do some user settings now. And we can, for example, I think I need to log in for this to work properly. So your cookies for local storage actually apply. Nope, I had the dark theme selected. I thought they saved per user, but maybe I'm wrong. So we can set the theme to auto detect or light theme, dark theme, etc. That will save preferences for our profile, which is nice. We did some state management with the grid as well and got that working. And there we go. Put some screens around here. Yeah, Jeff streams a bit more than I do, but still, there's something that I'm either doing wrong. I have 2 different computers I've done this on. I've had the same problem carry across. I mean, it could be user error, I don't know, but I'll open up Streamlabs one day, or OBS one day, and it will work, and I will open up another day, and things just don't work anymore. So, I don't know if it's me, maybe I just have bad luck, or what. So we added some state management here for our, oh, and there's a bug with that. I'm gonna restart that. So there's our state management actually doing what it's supposed to do. Trying to remember how to get in there. I need to clear that out. Go back to, yeah, anything you select with 2020 on this blows up for some reason. I still need to do a little investigation into why that is. So let's go back a couple years here, grab some actual data. Oh, it didn't bug out on me. And then I can visit other pages and come back, and my sales data range remains the same. So we've got state management there. So we've got state management on the theme. We've got state management on this data grid and its report range. So that's all good. I think the next thing I wanted to look at was this flyout menu. It collapses or expands, and when you re-enter the application, it's always expanded. So I wanted to preserve that collapsed or expanded state. Oops. That was a good example of why. So what I need to do is, I guess when I open or close this flyout panel, I need to stash that value somewhere as well. So we'll do that. We'll take a look at how to save those settings. So we've got, let's see, I think I wanted to put some kind of reset in here as well to maybe clear the settings out. So we'll probably take a look at that too. We'll see where that flyout panel lives, or that drawer component. That's a Telleric grid, or sorry, Telleric drawer component that I'm using up there. It is under shared, and this is a full stack Blazor application if you're new to the show. I'm using Blazor on the client for the front end, and I've got a .NET server, and I've got some shared .NET code as well. I have a folder here. Oh, you know what? I forgot to open. Let me back out of this real quick. I forgot to open my presentation mode version. I installed this handy little plugin that gives me a presentation mode so you guys can see better. And I think that I should use that instead. So you can see the Solution Explorer and all of the code better. There we go. It looks like I have a Visual Studio update pending too. All right, so Solution Explorer, will open that up. And I have a full stack app we're going to look at the front end for that drawer component. That's going to be under shared nav menu. I've got everything under here for that drawer component itself, and then the drawer lives in, or it's being used in the layouts folder here under main layout. So under main layout, you'll see the actual drawer component, and it's bound to a true false field expanded. So what I want to do is save that expanded value when I open and close it. I'm trying to figure out, that's my settings, and then this is, I don't want to keep the settings open, but see, this always defaults to true every time this component loads, and that's something that I need to push off to state management. Is protected browser storage production ready yet? So protected browser storage is a new feature for Blazor that just premiered on the latest episode of the .NET Stand-Up. And I'll actually post a link to this in the chat room because this is a great resource. It is not production ready yet because they're putting, I think it comes out in the next preview of .NET 5, like preview 8. It should be out for use in there, but I'm still running 3.1, so it's not going to be in here for quite some time. So I have Chris Santi's state management, or not state management, local storage component library in my application. So I can actually look at some of my other pages here, and I can kind of pull the same type of code out. And I believe that is in my theme chooser. Yeah, so I need to use, oh, I'm going directly. I have his package installed, but I'm not using it here. So that was something I wanted to refactor. Why don't we do this before I muddy this up too much? Let's see. We have a working theme state. So my theme state works. We'll commit all those changes because that all worked. Now I can break stuff freely. I've made that mistake on this show before. I won't do it again. Commit often. I had like 11 changes pending. That's just too much. I need to commit a little bit more often. So in one of these places, I actually did use the, I think I used it on the grid. So let's go to the grid and look there real quick. It was on the sales page. And here I'm using local storage. So let's take local storage and we will add that to this page. So that's our theme chooser, not that page. We'll do that one in a minute. Put that on the back burner. In main layout, we will add local storage. One thing I'm not going to be able to do here is bind expanded anymore, because what's going to have to happen here is I need an event to trigger off of to call into local storage and actually store the setting. So let's do that. So this is a Telleric drawer component. If I go to the website, docs.telleric.com, I should be able to pull up this drawer component and pretty easily find that drawer API. So let's see here. I've got data binding, mini view, selection, templates, and so on. Events. Say, take a look at events. We have selected item change. I want expanded changed. That's what I'm looking for. So we will grab the demo code for expanded changed here. And I will take that sample and put it in my app in place of the bind. Binding is great, but we can't really trigger an asynchronous save out to our local storage from it. So we have expanded change handler that we need to now handle. And this expanded value is going to go away, I think. So we need a void expanded changed handler. Let me make sure I spelled that right. Like that. And it passes in some arguments. So let's go look at what those arguments are. We got a nice GIF animation here of what it's doing as well. So when we expand the drawer, we do need the expanded flag too. My mistake. I did take that away. We do need it expanded up there. So we need to have the flag back up here. And then the event argument is going to be, it's just a bool value that we pass. Okay. I thought there might be a more specific object that gets passed, but it's just giving us the actual value. So once we have that, then we can set the expanded value. So we're just manually binding this now instead of letting the built-in data binding take place. And we will take, and as we set that, we will also save it. So I want my local storage. And I will say local storage set item async. It's going to be a bool value, and all right. So you have a sort descriptor question from Curious Drive. Sort descriptors are something that pertains to the data grid. We can definitely answer that. Or I hope so, anyway. Let's see. And I know I've got some state stuff in here. I'll look back at my sales page real quick, just so I get this right. Because we want to await local storage set item async. And then, okay, it's going to be await. So that function then changes to from void to async task. So we handle this correctly and then say await. And this async task is why we can't do it with like a property getter setter and do it with just 2A data binding. So we're going to take that value. We will then send it here. We need a key first. We'll just call it drawer state, and we'll set the value. Just like that. And then let's see, on when we initialize this page, or this component, uninitialized async. We'll take that and override it. This should be protected override task. Async task. And then we want to await. Sorry, it's going to be expanded equals local storage dot get item async. And then we want to get, again, the drawer state. We're going to have to add some sort of null check in here as well. And I need to await this, or it's not going to work. So Curious Drive was asking about why does grid state have a list of sort descriptors if you can only sort by one column? That's probably because in the future it will sort by more than one column. It's probably just some future proofing, is my guess, because I believe that some of our data grids can do multi-column sorting. So we probably just haven't enabled that feature yet, but we didn't want to break the API going forward. So if I go to, say, let's see, Kendo UI for jQuery are our most veteran set of components. So if I go here and I said, let's see, sorting, does sorting have, there we go, sorting has a page here. Multi-column sorting. Yeah, it's something that will come eventually. So the filter descriptors is a platform agnostic API, and you can use Kendo UI for jQuery with .NET Web API. So that Web API object that we pass around contains a list, because it could come from one of 6 different front-end APIs. So it does have support in there for those. So hopefully that does the trick. We should see that come to our Blazor grid eventually too. Let's see, we need to do a null check in here somewhere. Let's do this, var result if ooh, this is going to be interesting. So I wonder if, is there a way to check? I have a kind of a bad feeling about this. So here's the thing: if I've never set the state of this local storage before, and it is a Boolean value, when I use get item async from local storage and there's nothing there, what is the return value? Is it null or is it false? That's something that we need to try. So let's see what this actually comes back as before we do anything with it. Let's see if we can actually write this just out to the console real quick. Just do kind of a check there. So if I don't click the expand and contract button, it's just gonna collapse by default there to false. It does return false. That is a problem. So what I need to do, I need to be able to check and see if it's never been set. Is there a way to do with this API? See if it has a value. I have set item, remove item, contains key. There we go. That'll do it. So I need to check and see if there is a value. Hey Eagle, welcome to the show. That's probably a good suggestion. Is I could cast it to a nullable bool, and then if it's null, I could set the value. I could also check the state local storage. I'm trying to figure out which would probably be more performant. Yeah, I think I'm gonna try this route first. If it has the key, I need to wait that, by the way, or it's gonna fail. We'll check and see if the key exists. Devman, why use async? Because we are calling a method outside of the system. This is similar to, that statement's similar to saying, well, my API calls are really fast. Should I await them? We're calling code outside of our system that we don't know the performance of. So while we pretty much expect it to be real time, it is kind of out of the bounds of Blazor and the .NET runtime. It's not within the runtime anymore. So we're essentially calling on a service or an endpoint or something, if you want to think of it that way. Is there a get item or default async? Doesn't look like it, Peter. There's a get item async. So this is really wrapping some basic stuff. I actually have the code for it in another file that I looked at earlier. It was theme chooser, I think. So if I look at my theme chooser, what I'm essentially doing is I'm saying invoke, here, let's look at the JavaScript. That'd be better. The JavaScript behind it looks something like this. It just says local storage and returns a value, or it sets a value. There's not a whole lot of intelligence in there. So anything else that's wrapped around it is going to be on the .NET side as syntactic sugar probably. So what we need to do here is, if I'm calling this in, or this rather, if I call window.localStorage in some key, and then it has to pass through in .NET, it has to be serializable in order to cross that JavaScript to .NET boundary. When I do that, if it's just a bool value, it has to set it to either true or false. I could do a nullable bool, like Eagle said, and it might take a undefined and translate that into a null. But I think the most reliable way is just to check and see if it has a key. Local storage should have a, I'd have to see what Chris is wrapping with this contains key call, but I'm sure it's doing exactly what it says. And if the key is not there, then it has no value, and I can assume that it's null. So I can just say it doesn't have a key, then do a thing. So what I can do is I can say, if it has a key, I'll go ahead and get the result from local storage, which is going to be enable or expanded equals that. And then I can put an else here and just set it to the default. Because I want this to be true. So I want the default to be true. What would probably be ideal here is a try statement instead of contains. I don't think he has a try built in though. Yeah. There's no try here. That would probably be the best, is a try get async. Try get item async. And then if it fails, then you can have a default set for that. But I didn't see one, so we'll run with this. This should work. So when we initialize, if there's a key for the drawer state, we will get it and set it. Otherwise, we will... Yeah, I could create my own extension method there. Let's see. This should do it. I'm only using it in one place, so I'll probably not make any more extension methods than I need. So we are expanded. Now let's collapse it, and we will navigate away. Let me close this and that, and we'll just open up one of these links that goes outside of the application. We'll come back, and it's expanded, so that didn't work. Something's not working here. So on this reset, let's check the, let's close that. Let's make sure we're running the latest version of it. I've got a couple open, it looks like. Go ahead and check this one more time. This is using local storage, so if you're new to this, I will show you where to find it. If you go right-click, inspect, and you can find the local storage for the application inside of the application tab, and then under here there's a storage list item in the tree. So if I collapse this, I would expect that to push an item into the local storage. It's not. So I'm not handling this expanded changed correctly or something. Set item async is not being called for some reason. So I have expanded changed, bool, new value equals expanded change handler, and passing that value in, and it looks like it's not hitting for some reason. I could try this. Let's see. The value gets set to true here. This doesn't seem to be called though. Let's try running this in debug mode, and let's see if I get a break. Yeah, that's probably a better explanation, Peter. Thank you for that. So this was in regards to the question about why do we await every JavaScript call. There's for one the scenario that we may actually be running from server-side Blazor. And then it's returning a promise from JavaScript in some cases. Ah, crap, come on. I have to register. Really? Passwords must have one non... I thought I did. Since I'm running in debug mode, it's running it in a different instance. Oh, really? Come on. All right, I failed twice at this now. Let's try. Ah. Oh, this thing hates me today. Jeez. Yay. I've created an account. Curious Drive. I'm using the Titan Titan from what is this thing called? Titan, darn it. Secret Lab. That one. As if it's not stamped behind my head, I had to turn around and look. It's been a while since I bought it. It's a great chair. It's really good on the back. I like it. Alright, so why is this not saving? Let's see if we hit a breakpoint. I'm skeptical. So if I collapse, I'm not even hitting a breakpoint. I know something's happening because it's actually expanding and collapsing. Is it... Oh, I know what I'm doing wrong. I think I know what I'm doing wrong. There is a button here that is toggling the value. I'm doing this wrong, is why. Let's go back to docs.teller.com. I'm bypassing the event and then wondering why the event's not triggering. Expanded changed. So I need to do this instead. So I need to create a reference to the drawer. I'm going to move these around a little bit so we can see them a little better. There's going to be a lot. I need one that is called ref, @ref, so I need a reference to it. And this is menu, the menu drawer, call it that. So now I have a reference to it. And I need to add that reference down here. A teller drawer, drawer items. This is a list of drawer item, because these are strongly typed objects here. And I'll call that menu drawer. WQ Walter, thanks for the sub. 5 months in a row. Really appreciate that. That's awesome. Thank you for coming back to the show to watch today. Menu. What do I call it? Menu drawer. This page is getting big enough it might go to a code behind soon. So that should give us our reference to the drawer. And then in my buttons, instead of doing an expanded or not expanded, I need to call a method that will invoke the expanded changed event. Power drawer. Let's get the power drawer going for Janescu. Power gloves. I still need to find one of those. Nobody's, well, I'm not garage sailing right now. People are. I am not. But if I was garage sailing, I would be looking for one of those right now. Let's see. So I need to use the expand async method on it, which will trigger the expanded changed. So what I want to do here is I want to say expanded. First of all, does this toggle? That's my first question. Is that API going to toggle it, or is it going to expand? Let's see. Expand does both, I believe. We'll find out. We'll find out in short order. I can tell you that. So it's going to be menu drawer dot expanded expand async. So there's an expand async. Is there a collapse async? Okay, we need to toggle between those two. So I'm going to say let's go ahead and create a method for this too called toggle drawer. So we'll toggle the menu drawer. I know this is exploding the code a bit to do what we want to do, but in the end, it's going to be a better experience. And this is the type of stuff we have to expect to customize. So, oh, and Curious Drive's got the great Code It Live emojis as well, the Code It Live channel emojis. All right, so back to some questions from earlier. Why am I calling await here? Well, there's an animation now that we were lacking before when I was just toggling the value outside of the system, kind of circumventing this event. When you do the event properly, you use the await because there is an animation that actually happens and it's awaiting the animation to finish. So that should trigger the menu to open and close, which then triggers the expanded changed handler, which saves our local storage state. Now these don't need to play the animations because it's happening on the page load, and we don't need to call the expand and collapse, if that makes sense. So let's try that. Uh-oh. I'm seeing some problems with Twitch. So you may or may not be able to hear this, but it looks like Twitch is going in and out. All right, so I'm having... Okay, so Twitch looks like it's back. I don't know if that was everybody on Twitch or just me, but it looks like it came back. So I hit a build error. So what was the build error? Cannot convert teller drawer of type nav menu drawer to... okay, so I typed it wrong. It's not the collection, but it is the item within the collection. So if I save that and build, we should be good to go. Now I can control F5. And if I Close that. Now you see the nice animation playing, by the way. We didn't have that before. Now we have a nice animation that goes back and forth. So that's a win. I like the animation part myself. I think it makes it look a little more modern. Now, if we go, let's just say, let's close all of this out and run the app again. Let's see if it starts in a closed state. And you guys didn't see the page refresh, but it is closed now. So that worked very well. One thing I'm worried about from a UX perspective. I wonder if I need to add an icon or something for the login, log out. Might be for another show. I think we've done enough of that feature today. We might need to fix that later. I'll put that on my to-do list. So if we're expanded, we'll collapse. If we're collapsed, we'll expand. We'll trigger the event handler, say toggle the value, then set the value to our state manager, which is local storage. And then on the page load, we'll check and see if there's a key. If there isn't, we'll go ahead and expand it. If there is, we'll go ahead and set to the user's preference. And everything works. Good stuff. Let's go ahead and commit that feature then. So now the drawer has state management and an animation it didn't have before. So let's do a little refactoring. I've got my local storage bits there. I've got a straight up call to this culture setting here. Let's see if we can refactor out this JavaScript file that we don't need anymore. So I'm going to look at my culture chooser.razor, and it is making a call to JavaScript directly. What we could probably do here is the same thing that we did with the layout page. So I can take, let's put these side by side real quick. Do a quick refactor here on Culture Chooser. If you want to know where Culture Chooser is, it's up here in my settings, and I can set the language for my app. And when I set the language for my app, it literally sets the language for 99% of the application. So you see the menu items changed, the grid columns, headers, and all the UI stuff changed. That setting persists through local storage as well. So I'll turn that back, close the app for a moment. I wrote that one as a pure JavaScript. Oh, is it still going in and out? I haven't had any internet issues, so I'm assuming it's Twitch. So sorry about that, everybody. So I have this JS invoke async thing here. I believe the JS runtime is being used only for that. I'm going to take it out. And instead of injecting the JS runtime, I'm going to use the iLocal storage service instead. And in the place of this, JS invoke async, I'm going to call, first of all, I need to set this from void to task. Async it exploded on me. Async task. And then it needs to be, the awaits are gonna just spam everywhere, by the way. I I'm going to use the await local storage dot set async, and this gets typed as a string. And then I need the key, which is going to be Blazor culture, and the value as the culture. So now I'm using the prepackaged interop versus calling it directly. So that works. This is angry because it needs to be await. And then this is going to be angry because it needs to be task async. Jeez, why does it keep auto-completing that? And then on value changed should be okay. No, it's not happy with that either. This is gonna need to await as well. No, does not like that. It's not awaited. Consider. Oh wait, does it await go? Why do I have braces around this for one? Do I need those? I don't think I need those. And that may have been what was throwing off the call. No, it is not. Is it? Help me here. Not crazy. There's a way to do this, right? There's a way to do async await with the lambda. I just can't remember it off the top of my head. So this wants to be an await. Oh wait, no, that is that resolving properly? Wait, hang on. It may have fixed it. Okay, cool. That actually did it. It's not unhappy anymore. Just taking off the curlies that didn't belong there. It looks like it fixed the problem. Let's see. So, and then I want to get the value. This one's already a task because I wrote it correctly the first time. This will be what is it? Local storage dot get item async. I wonder what the difference between get item and get string is. Get item as string async. That's what we're trying to do. So let's do that and see what happens. Get item as string async. Wonder if there's a set item as string async as well. Set item. Local storage dot set. Now there's only a set item async, which is kind of strange. Do we need to type it? It can infer that type, can it? Yeah, so I don't even need to type it. I may be able to go back and pull that out of the other one too. Maybe that's why there's no set as string, because it can infer it on the .NET side. It can't infer it when it's coming back. It says values task of string. So that's probably just syntactic sugar. And then if we're able to infer the type, then I could probably remove that. And it's inferring Boolean value. It's not going to be able to do it on the way back, though. Cool. So it's a little bit less code. Not a huge refactor there, but it took something out. Let's look at this again. So if we're setting that value and getting it back. And if we build properly, that means I've taken all the JS calls out. If I've taken all the JS calls out, I can go over to my Solution Explorer and I can pull up my index HTML and I can rip out the culture chooser JS file. And now if I run the application and let's see what happens here. I'm going to pull up the inspector tool again, hit application, and look at my Blazor culture. It's set to English. Let's change that to Bulgarian again. And it changed. So now I know I'm calling my, oh, it changed, but it didn't change. What's going on here? There looks to be like a capitalization issue here. So the key is case sensitive, it looks like. And in some place, it was capital there, and I did not capitalize it here. Would you look at that? Blazor culture, Blazor culture. Interesting. It's a great question. WQ Walter asks, when refactoring, how do you know when to stop and test versus making several changes and testing? I don't have a unit test for this, and I probably should. My quote unit test is a visual one right now. I'm kind of winging it here, but you should probably have a unit test around some of this stuff. This is a kind of an odd one. I don't know where I'd start with this. But your unit test would tell you where you should stop and start. So right now I'm focused on taking out the JavaScript file from this. So once I finish that, I'm gonna do a commit and then work on something else. I'll see if there's any other places. There's one other little refactor I took out here, and that shouldn't affect anything. If I was looking at it from a unit test perspective, I would make sure that my drawer state still saved properly. So maybe we can put a unit test on that in a minute. When you try to unit test these JavaScript calls, that's when things get a little tricky. Unit testing around the JavaScript interop requires a lot of fakes, and maybe I should get into that on another show. I should probably do that. I think we're a little bit too far down the rabbit hole today to start over and put those tests on it from where I'm at now. Let's see. Capitalization seemed to be an issue here. So I'm going to go back to my app. And in here, I've got two of these states now. I'm going to delete that one. And then I'm going to close this so I get the fresh copy here. And then I want to inspect and see if I can watch this state toggle here. I'm going to say BG, and that switched, and that changed all my text. So that's working now. Let's see. Before I switch it back, let's exit the page, come back. It should still be in Bulgarian. It is, so that worked good. And then now, if I switch back to English, I can then remove an entire JS file. So Blazor culture can go away now. Boom. Whole JavaScript file removed. That's good news for me. And I took it out of here already, so we don't have to worry about that one. Let's look at theme chooser next. Oh, we've got a raid coming from Coding Garden with 219 viewers. Wow. Thank you, Coding Garden. That is absolutely amazing. Thanks so much for the raid, Coding Garden. Appreciate that. What were you all talking about on Coding Garden? What was the task for the day? And I see your comment in there, Eagle. So with all the new folks coming into the chat room, I didn't miss that. Just so you know, I've got it bookmarked here. Reviewing viewer submitted code. Oh, nice. So you're doing like some kind of community code reviews or something? That sounds cool. Drills, Kibo. I'm not sure what you're asking about there. Is that asking for language support for the app? So we've got a lot of chatter going on. It's hard to... we're from U.S. Kentucky region, U.S. Thanks for all the new followers. Appreciate the raid, Coding Garden. That's really awesome. Much appreciated. So let's see here. Oh yes, I do have a French last name, by the way. I get where that's where the question came from then. So we are working on a Blazor full stack application today, and I don't want to hang things up too long, giving a shout out to all the great new follows that I'm getting here. So I'll just say thank you for all of the new followers. Thank you very much. We can do a little shout out at the end of the show, maybe. Give everybody a thumbs up and a thank you. Let me see here. Sorry, I'm trying to turn off the alerts so they don't keep rolling in. There we go. All right, so we'll pop the alerts off for just a moment to let that settle down. Doesn't mean that I don't appreciate every one of the new follows. I just don't want to keep blasting some 80s like zip like sound effect in everybody's ear every second. So working on a Blazor application. This is a full stack Blazor.NET app. So it's using Blazor on the front end. If I collapse my solution down here, I don't know what languages you cover on Coding Garden, but let's see here. Let's zoom. Let's do a little zoom. Zoom it. And if I zoom it, there we go. So this is the application structure. I have 3 projects. I have a client, I have a server, and I have a shared library. The client is Blazor. So it is a Blazor front end. The server is ASP.NET Web API. And then the shared is just C# libraries. So it's a full stack .NET app. There is very little JavaScript in it, and we are actually at the point where we're removing some of the JavaScript from it. So there's nothing wrong with JavaScript. We need it for many things. But there's developers that want to do web applications like these, like line of business web apps, and they don't want to write JavaScript code. And right now, with the state of front-end development, that's generally the only way you could do front-end development is if you were writing JavaScript. So Microsoft has a brand new framework that was just released about 4 or 5 months ago that allows you to write C#, and the C# runs through a runtime that is existing in the WebAssembly space. So there is a runtime inside of WebAssembly, which is the .NET runtime, and we're running all of our C# code through the .NET runtime and doing all of our work there. So we can remove pretty much all the JavaScript from our development cycle. Yeah, and just for FV Bommel's comment there, generally it's something that compiles to JavaScript. So we have TypeScript, which is very JavaScripty, but at the end of the day, it becomes JavaScript. With this, we're not compiling anything to JavaScript. There are some hidden abstractions in the system that we're using that make calls to JavaScript, but we generally don't see them. So we don't even know they exist, but they may have some underlying JavaScript functionality. One of those, you guys just missed a really good refactoring there. Let me see if I can pull this up. I still have the changes pending. So what we can do is we can look at what I just did. We'll start with the index page. So there was a JavaScript file here that we were using. If I go to my source control and I view the history here, or actually the wrong one, source control, compare with unmodified. You can see I have this culture setting here. This Blazor culture JS was a JavaScript file that was doing some JavaScript calls to local storage. Now, if I go over to culture chooser, you can see here from my C# code, I was making a call directly to that JavaScript file. So I was saying JavaScript invoke the Blazor culture set and the Blazor culture get methods on the JavaScript file. So we're actually taking our C# code and calling directly to JavaScript. And if I look at the now removed Blazor culture JS file, it was taking window.local storage and stashing or getting a value in local storage. But I added a package to my project that has abstracted that away. So I no longer need to write the JavaScript portion of that. It's already taken care of for me. So I removed the JavaScript file. I went into my code, and instead of calling out to JavaScript directly, I call a C# local storage API, and I can just say set the item or get the item using this key, and I'm going to get that value or set that value. So now I can remove that. I'm getting ready to remove another one here. So we'll take a look at refactoring that one out next. So we're actually taking JavaScript out of our application, replacing it with C# at the moment. So let me make a commit message. I replaced this with a third-party package here. So I can commit that. I'm going to do it again. Same type of thing here. And again, thanks for the follows, everybody. They're still rolling in, even though I have the alerts turned off. And again, there's nothing wrong with JavaScript. I'm not saying that JavaScript is bad by doing this. I'm saying that there are many .NET C# developers out there that want to build these apps, don't have that JavaScript knowledge, and this just gives them another opportunity to build web applications. So let's go over to this page again. I'm going to take our dependency injection system here. I'm going to pull in this local storage service, which is a local storage interface that I can call that allows me to talk to local storage without directly having to write my own JavaScript code to do that. And then I'm going to take out, I don't know if I'm actually going to be able to remove all of the JavaScript in this instance. So we'll keep our JavaScript here, the runtime there as well, and we'll see if we can do this at all, actually. So there's a little bit more to setting the theme than just local storage. We're doing local storage and we're doing some logic in the JavaScript space. So one of the things that we can't do with C# at the moment, and this is going to change in the next release of Blazor, is we cannot manipulate the head element of the document. So if we look at our HTML here, this is our index page. Blazor is a SPA application. So it's a single page application, which means it's constantly re-rendering a section of the app rather than reloading the entire page. So what it's doing here is the Blazor application lives pretty much solely inside of this app element. So anything, any page or component that we load generates HTML that exists here, and there's a state management called the render tree, which tracks all of the HTML, the components, and their state that's rendered within that app. That means that Blazor is blissfully unaware of everything in this head tag, and pretty much anything below as well. So it's only concerned with what's in this app tag. So how do we get to, say, manipulate the CSS file that is here and change that out with a different theme? Well, we have to do something called JavaScript, because JavaScript isn't concerned with this app tag. It is able to go up here and change the DOM. It's able to come down here and query and change the DOM as well, where Blazor's stuck inside of that app tag. So that's what we're going to look at. Through this same process, and my stream's busted again. So I'm just seeing, so is anybody else having problems with Twitch today? Has anyone noticed any other streams going down? Is it just me? Hopefully it's not just me. I know that sounds selfish, but I don't see any issues with my local internet. So I'm going to try refreshing my stream management portal, and that seems to have fixed it for me. If you can't see the stream, I think Twitch is being crazy today. Alright, so theme chooser, the get and the set theme. You know what? I think I'm gonna leave this one as is. I'm doing a lot more here than just setting something in local storage. So I think I'm gonna leave this one alone. In the other application, or in the other feature of the application, I was just getting and setting the theme. In here, when I set the theme, I'm checking to see if it's set to auto. If it is, I could probably do this in .NET, but I think it's kind of pointless to refactor this out. Then I'm doing an auto detection. It's calling on other JavaScript things in here as it sets the theme. I don't think it's going to help me all that much. So let's pull that back out. I'm going to set that back to normal. The other example was much, much better. So in this one, this is a good example of when to use the JavaScript interop. So what's happening here, let's set this up side by side. For the folks that just joined us from Code Garden. Sorry, was that Coding Garden or Code Garden? I lost my chat history. What we're going to do here, we'll just take a quick look at what JavaScript interop is all about. So I have a .NET app or .NET code on the left-hand side. I have JavaScript code on the right-hand side. And what this does is in my application, I have a drop-down where I can select different themes. Here's the theme settings. And when I set the theme, I'm going to call theme chooser set theme. And if you look over here, here's the JavaScript for it, window.themechooser. And there's the set theme function. So set theme gets called from .NET. So I have C# calling a JavaScript function that looks at my local storage, and if it has a key, I could actually translate that over to .NET, but I still would have to have a change theme and an auto detect. But it's going to check for this auto value. If it is, it's going to remove an item from the local storage. It's just going to go back to the default, basically. If it does have a theme value, it's going to set that in local storage. And then the changing theme function goes out and finds the link in the HTML document and swaps out the CSS path. So it's doing some calls out to JavaScript that are very handy for this app that Blazor can't touch. Later on, there's going to be a way to change the link tag. If we pull up the document here, in the next version of Blazor, inside of the head tag, there is an API now to change these link values. So we'll be able to do that without JavaScript eventually. For now, if I come up here and I change my theme, I'm going to change it from default to light, you'll see it manipulated that path and changed it to main CSS. If I do that again, go back to automatic, goes to dark. It's picking that up from my OS preferences. So that's pretty cool. Let's see. So source code generators will be useful if you want to have a type compile time. You want to do with bunit and IJS runtime mocking. That's not really relevant as far as I can see. I think you might be answering something that was asked up in the chat. All right, so let's do something different now. I committed those changes. I'm going to go ahead and push those up to GitHub. And then let's go ahead and let's go into the Git branches here. And I'm going to go to master and say, let's switch over to the master branch for a second. And I'm going to merge from the shoot, which branch did I just push? Was it customization? Forgot which branch I was on. I can go to GitHub, it'll tell me. Let's see here. Blazing Coffee. feature customization. That's what I just completed. So let's merge from feature customization. We'll merge that right into our master branch. I probably didn't even need to push that up to GitHub, but glad I did. And then we can push that branch. And then the compiler is going to go nuts for a minute while it catches up. All right, so that should be good now. If I go back to GitHub, I should have my master branch all caught up. There we go, 13 minutes ago. All right, so this is all caught up. I'm going to do some more branching. I have a docs branch. Go over to the docs branch real quick. And let me say merge from master on that one. Just catch it up. I have a conflict here. What is the conflict? Merge conflict, sales, compare files. Let's see. Failing to see, other than local storage, which I do want to keep. Oh, there we go. There's the other changes. I took some console logs out, it looks like. So I want to keep the one on master. Take the source, that should do it. Let's do a quick look here. Make sure everything's building. I just kind of fast forwarded some branches here. Make sure everything's up to date with the master branch. And let's just take a quick look. So the app seems to be working okay. If we collapse that, I know that's my new slide drawer. We can change these features around. I can do localization. Localization's working. So, oh, and the other thing was the state management of the grid. Is this keeping my state for the grid? Yeah, the state's still the same. So we're good here. Everything, ooh, maybe not. Uh-oh. I broke something. Could not find Blazor culture. It looks like it lost the JavaScript file somehow. Is this the one? I took out the Blazor culture. Why did it hit an error there? That was odd. English to Bulgarian. See if I can reproduce this error. Go back to English. And now there's no error. That's kind of strange. Nope, nope, here it is again. Here it is again. Why is it looking for... Could not find Blazor culture in window. Something's still calling out to the interop that doesn't exist anymore. I need to figure out where that's happening. Either my merge didn't happen properly. Oh, you know what? It's probably this here. Ah, I lost this in my other change. I'm gonna have to switch branches and fix that actually. I can't do it on this one. Why do I have no ability to branch? Oh, I haven't committed that merge yet. I'm gonna abort that merge. Abort that merge. Solution Explorer. Let's see. Team Explorer. Yep. I goofed up. I need to go back to my other branch. It was under customization. I missed a thing. I missed a refactoring point. So when the application loads, sorry for the git dance I just had to make there. Program.cs has a call to local storage. So I actually need to call in that local storage in here. So in services, I need to do this get required service again. I need to call that local storage local storage service right there. And then in this culture call, I'm going to await local storage dot get item as string, and then the key is let me go find the key. It's in the other files. So I missed part of my refactoring is what I did. Layout, navlink, no, it was in layout, main layout. That's the drawer state. That's the wrong file again. Let's see here. Culture chooser. Blazor culture. Let's see if I'm able to do this. And then I can remove my JS interop. Possibly from there. Let's give that a shot. Let's see if that works. I have not tried that before. I haven't tried using local storage in that context before. So we will see. So I've got, if I go back and forth between home, everything seems to be fine. I'm going to select a different language. It reloads the app. Let's refresh the app. That seems to be fine. Refresh again. Everything's good. Go back to English. This is where things broke down before, and we're good to go. I fixed that bug. Fixed that bug. So on that startup call, I was missing, it was still trying to look for a JavaScript file that's not there anymore and call it. And I replaced that with the C# APIs that I'm using with the rest of the application. So luckily I found that. I can pull that JS interop out of startup now. And I also need to, I'm going to append that commit there. Append previous commit, and then I can push that change. I finally got my lazy ass to learn Blazor, and I love it. That's an excellent comment. I love that comment. I'm enjoying Blazor myself too. Sorry, I gotta do a little branch dancing again. I want to go to my master branch, and I'm going to merge the feature that I just appended. Sorry, Team Explorer, and excuse me if I don't use command line for this, but this is the way I do things. Branches, merge from customization to master, and then I'm going to branch off to my docs branch, and then I'm going to merge from master into docs so I can catch docs up. And then there should be a commit merge conflict. Merge conflict. Let's look at that conflict again. I want to take the master version of it and commit that merge. Just gonna capture that. That should catch up this docs branch with the master branch. And this is where it broke before, but patches are in this version. Yeah, I don't use Vim. Not that there's anything wrong with Vim, I just don't use it. I'm not much on the command line these days. This seems to work well for me, so Visual Studio. If I can stay in Visual Studio, I'm happy. Looks like, let's see, state management's working. Localization is working. So we're good. We are good to go. We have a nice looking app. Yeah, I tried Vim once, I still haven't exited. All right, so we're gonna look at some documentation stuff, and I'm toying around with some ideas that I think will be fun. Not sure how practical they are, but if we look at our pages in here, let's see. If I look at sales.razor, you'll notice, and I could put a filter on that as well. We'll look here real quick. Under sales.razor, I have sales.razor.markdown nicely nested underneath of there. If I do a star.markdown, I don't need the star maybe. Markdown? Yeah. There's all of my documentation for each page. So I have my sales component. It has its documentation. When I say documentation, I don't mean like the typical documentation. This is a demo app, so I'm kind of documenting what each page does. It's more of a description than documentation. So I've got sales, I've got my index page, manage employees. These are all markdown files. So they tell you what each page does. So this one has, it says demos you'll find here include globalization, localization, component authorization, Telleric date range picker, Telleric grid, Telleric chart. So that all pertains to this page. What's MD? That's new for you? Are you playing with me, Curious Drive? Markdown? Markdown is a really nice way to write HTML documents with very, very little. Like you don't have to open all the braces and all that stuff. You just use some very basic notation like the pound sign or the hash symbol, whatever you want to call it. And these indicate like H1, H2. You can do lists with dashes, and just very simple symbols represent an HTML document. So I did a project a while ago called Blazor. And this was a long time ago when Blazor was brand new. And this is Markdown. So you can take some Markdown and convert that into your document, your HTML on the other side. So we can do Markdown to visible HTML right here in .NET. Yes, Marcus, voice programmer. So this is, if you go to, here, I'll give you an example. If I go to my GitHub page for this project, and I look, I'm going to go to my docs tab. This is where it exists right now. It'll be in the master eventually. If you go under Blazing Coffee, Well, first of all, there's this. There's the README. I have the README for the, if you want to take this and clone it and run it, how to do that. But now if you go under each page, you should find a markdown file that explains what each page is demoing. So my Manage Employees page has a grid column template with images, color, formatting, and uses localization. And there's one of these for each of the demos. This one is the one I just talked about. It has a date range picker, a grid with sort, paging, data source requests, data envelopes, and so on. And I'll probably expand the content here as well. These might become mini articles or something. Yeah, so you can view that. You could probably have a markdown viewer for Visual Studio if you wanted to. That would work fine. What I want to do is I want to have on my demo page. So if I'm on here, let's say I'm on my reporting page, I have an icon I can click on and it'll tell me about the demo that I'm seeing. So what I could do is I can render that text out somewhere. Whether I keep them in this spot or not, I've yet to decide. But let's clear this filter off. I think they may actually end up needing to go in the WW root. So let's do this real quick. I'm going to add a folder, docs, and then let's take sales.razor.markdown and copy it, just manually for now, copy it there. So it's in my WW root folder because it's a static asset. I can set up some processes to do this automatically later. I just want to test a theory right now. So in my sales page, what I want to do is I want to have, say, an icon. We'll make it very simple for now. Inside of the sales card, I have my grid, I have a chart. Let's see, where can I place this? I just want it somewhere convenient. It doesn't need to like live there forever. It may actually go outside of the individual page too. Let's put it in the main layout for a minute. We'll put this in the main layout. Ooh, why is culture chooser? Markup element. I think that's a compiler goof. Hang on a second. Let me make sure this is working. Main. Oh, you know what? Let's do a clear solution. Clean this. Rebuild. Access to 7Z DLL undefined. Yeah, there's some weirdness going on from me branching, I think. Let me close Visual Studio real fast. All that branching, I think, gave it a headache. Back into presentation mode. Back up to our solution. And we'll try a build again. That last build sent it into fits. Let's try that again, and build succeeded. So I think everything is working okay now. It's Blazor, it does that from time to time, right? It's part of the drinking game, Curious Drive. Take a shot every time I have to reboot Visual Studio. So sales.razor.markdown is in my WW root, and I'm going to go over to my main layout for just a moment, and we're just going to do a quick kind of proof of concept here. So this main layout has my drawer, and it also has all my menu items. Let's see here. It has this wheel up here, this settings button. Let's add another button up there for just a moment. Window title. Let's see, that's not it. Drawer. Expanded. Okay, that's the drawer. That's the window. It's the menu. Kind of lost where my gear button is. Oh, there it is. It's in the header. There we go. So here's the title. We'll put another, let's duplicate the settings button. Boop. So I've got two settings buttons for now. Let's change the icon. Information. Question. There we go. And then the on-click event, we'll say docs expanded. Like that. We don't have a docs expanded value yet, so let's change that. So I'm rendering a button. Let's see. Have you guys played with the document format command? It will format the code in the solution like Control-K, Control-D does in Visual Studio. So I managed to set up my GitHub actions. I have not been able to do that. I have not tried that. That's an interesting take on things, though. Yeah, that is pretty neat, Eagle. You can automate the document formatting on commit. I just wish it worked better with Blazor. With Razor files. We'll see if the new Razor editor helps. So I've got docs expanded. I'm not expanding anything yet, though. What this expanded value is for is stuff like windows. So I have a Telerik window here. This one is for settings. I'm going to do another Telerik window. And kind of copy this over. And this one will be docs expanded. Modal true. We'll leave it modal. Why not? So I need to close the tag. And then window contents, let's just copy this whole thing. We'll copy the rest of it. It's not going to be settings. We'll localize this later. It's going to be docs. Oh, wait, I grabbed the wrong... No, this is the right one. That's going to be docs. The content... So I want to show my documentation there. Let's see if this works. Control F5. So this should have two buttons. I do. There's a question mark now. See the question mark I just added up here in the right-hand corner? This is my new docs button. So if I want to show more information about the page I'm looking at, I want to be able to click on that. Pop-up window comes up, and my docs readout here. Cool? So let's do something with that. So where I have show docs here, let's do a on page load, on initialize async. let's close this down here. Let's set up, we need a field. Get set. So we got a string. And I want to call docs is the string. And I want to call await HTTP client dot. Oops. See, I need to inject that, don't I? At inject HTTP client as HTTP. So let's go back and say HTTP dot get string async. And then the path is going to be, what was that one called? It's in our WW root. It's going to be slash doc slash. I'll pin this so we can see what I'm looking at here. Sales dot razor dot md. Okay. So we've got our markdown file now, and we're gonna put that in that string, and we need to display the string. So where I said show docs here, I will simply put at docs, and that's a string. I should be able to render that. Now if I click question mark, the demos you find here include, now see how this is all a, oh, I lost chat. No, I just lost my chat room. Hang on, folks. I just lost you guys, all of you. Lost all y'all. Okay, so I lost that window. If you had a question, let me see if I can pull up the history here and see if there's something I might have missed as far as questions go. All right, so I can look back, but it's on a really small display if I try to do that. I'd prefer it open in my browser window like I had it, but here we go. So now what I've got is I pulled that markdown file in. You can see it, but the formatting is terrible, isn't it? That is terrible. I'd rather markdown format that into HTML, and HTML will display much better here, right? So let's do something. Let's go to our dependencies, and we'll say manage Nuget packages. And in manage Nuget packages, I'm going to search for markdig. And I'm going to grab markdig and install markdig. Exception occurred. Really, Nuget? You're not even going to give me an intelligent error? I think this happened to me the other day. Didn't it? Was this on the stream? Did this happen to me on stream yet the other day? 7 updates pending. Was that the problem? Let's push these updates through. Nope. Boom. Here we go again. All right. I can't remember why this happened the other day. Well, let's do it this way. We'll say package reference include markdig. Something has been going crazy with my Nuget stuff lately. So 0.2.0.0 is the latest version. wonder if that is the correct version there. Yes, 2.73 million downloads. That has to be the right one. So let's do that. 2.0. So version. Having to add packages manually, really? 0200. Save that. Yeah, ignore that. I didn't close the tag properly, so it's yelling at me. So we'll add the Nuget package the hard way. And then I'm going to go to my command line. See, I cursed the command line earlier, and now it's telling me that I have to go to the command line to do this. Source, repos, blazing, coffee, client, blazing, coffee client, .NET restore. And look at that, it restored the packages for that without a problem, but the UI is broken. So I think I have MarkDig installed now. So I can look at packages, and there's MarkDig, so it's installed now. So now I have MarkDig. So what I can do now that I have MarkDig, and I need to look at the MarkDig documentation real quick. MarkDig. How do I use you again? It's been a while, my friend. MarkDig to HTML. So let's try that. I need to get, let's just do some code here. MarkDig dot do I have to new this up? Do I have to new up an instance? MarkDig.markdown. To HTML. Ha! All right. So, docs is now going to be, let's see, var result is going to await, then docs equals MarkDig to HTML result. So now I have an HTML string, and then Blazor is going to give me a hard time with that. So I need to do, let's see, Blazor raw HTML. And some of you Blazor fans may know how to do this without looking. Let's see. Docs.microsoft.com. Raw HTML. Here we go. It's in the docs. This is a markup string. There's the code I want. So Blazor won't let you render raw HTML without casting it, and this is a safety feature. So that will cast it to a markup string that will render the HTML properly. Now let's check this out. Let's see if that simple bit of code actually did what I wanted to do. Oh, look at that. How cool is that? That is awesome. That's what makes me love Blazor and .NET. Yeah, I mean, this is internal documentation that's written. I'm not worried about like JavaScript injection or anything crazy in something like that, because we're using our own files. So this is formatting it per my markdown file that I have here. So if I changed, for example, these things to bullet points, so if I did this, and I can also put CSS styles in to control this stuff too, because it's all HTML now. And then another thing I can have in here is I should be able to do, or no, not CSHTML, C#. I should be able to put code blocks and everything in. And I don't even have to recompile the app for that because it's an HTTP request. If I refresh my page, I hit my docs button again, and it made me look silly. Why does it want me to recompile that? I shouldn't have to recompile that. As soon as I save that change, an HTTP call should be enough to refresh the content. And it's not. Did I edit the right file? I do have 2 of these. I bet that's what it is. No? Docs. I'm editing the one in www-root. It's using a HTTP call to get the file. Maybe, oh, I bet it's deployed somewhere else. It copies the file to another directory or something. We'll rerun it. There's my bulleted lists. Yeah, it was either cache or it's pushing the files to a deployed. Let's try that again. Just put the number 2 ahead of this. Let's try empty cache. Empty cache, hard reload. Yeah, it was a caching issue. Yeah, that is actually supposed to be there. So what's cool about this, if I inspect this, see this pre-code and class? Now I have CSS that I can attach and actually make valid looking code blocks out of that. So if you look at the example I had here, blaze down. Oops. So this, if I do it here, the same thing. Let me copy that code block. I can format those. Come on. There we go. I can format that to be a code block. It's like Stack Overflow territory. Yeah, Stack Overflow has a Markdown editor built in. So you can build Markdown into your apps with 1 line of code. Did you see that? Did anybody else catch that? 1 line of code. 1 line of code, I just enabled Markdown on my app. Thank you for the follow. Mashiko777. So 1 line of code, we now have Markdown in our application because it's .NET. Because it's .NET, I don't know how easy or hard this would be to do in JavaScript. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say it's not this easy. If you can do it 1 line of code in JavaScript, I want to see it. Not to say that it can't be done. I just think it'd be cool if you could do it. I wouldn't know where to start. But this works perfectly well because MarkDig is on Nuget and it's been around for a long time. And then we can do this. And another thing is in here, so instead of inheriting like the global styles from the entire application, what I can do is I can say Up here in my window where it says markup string, I can say docs wrapper, and I put this around the outside, and then now everything inside of that container I can target with CSS. So what I can do is go into CSS now, not that CSS, I'm going to go into my theme directory here, and we'll go into main for just a moment. This is stuff that gets refactored out, but we'll say docs wrapper h1 so I can target things inside of that container now. See how I just colored that? It's a hideous color, but I colored it nonetheless. I can change like the size and all that now. So I can say H1 is going to be a certain size, and I can format all of those things. So I can say H1, all my H tags I can format. I can format code blocks and all of those things inside of here. And then what I'd like to be able to do is navigate to a page, click this button, and it tells me about the demos on that page. And I can develop all those, quote, documentation files inside of my code. So they're both in the code and they're both displayed in the app through Markdown. Pretty cool. I'm going to wrap it up right there for today. I like the question mark button. What we'll have to do is look at the URL probably, or do some type of, we'll have to do some reflection or something like that. And then we'll be able to click this button and we'll get the docs for this page. And I'll probably set up a task in, I can either do it in my, do I still have that? I don't have, I have ways of moving this to the WW root, or we could look at how to get the resources put in the DLL files and pull them out of the DLL files. HTTP requests are just very easy. So that's one way of doing it. There may be a way to put it in as a resource and pull it out of the resources and read it. We'll look at that next week. So for now, let's go ahead and see if we can pay this huge raid we got earlier forward and find somebody to raid. And once again, it's showing no channels that I follow have somebody online. Let's double check that. I don't know why this raid channel UI is not working. Here, I'll show you. It's supposed to say channels you follow, and I follow channels, I do. I can see Clark.io and Freestyle Coder and the Unreal Engine and Lanalux. All channels I follow are casting right now. They're not showing up in the UI. So I ask you folks, is there somebody, Developers Garage? Let's check them out. Thank you, Curious Drive. Let's check out Developer Garage. He's only got one viewer now, so it's good. Let's rate him and let's bump that up. Let's get that viewership up. So say hello to him. Thanks for the suggestion, Curious Drive. And I better move this off screen so I don't cross the streams. But thank you all, and I will see you next week, I hope. Take care.